I'm sorry, Andrew Weissman, but if I recall correctly, in 2018, you were one of the people who helped write the Mueller report, and you all botched the hell out of that.
And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we would be here. I thought we were better as a country.
Oh, yeah.
Like all these sites that have been around for creating videos and all that, like text stock videos, they're done.
But that's why Canva was one of the first to get into doing AI.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and our team has reached out to over 300,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers since 2020. I also am a featured contributor to this platform, Indie Soup Media, indiesoupmedia.tv, as part of a friend of Dr. Vibe and the show, Dr. Tachi, and it is an independent content creators network that has about, 27 independent content creators, 7 more coming on, and in 3 months' time, they have over, I think we're at 13,000 YouTube subscribers. So that is great. And a lot of the content, including this show, an edited version of this show, is shown on Indie Soup Media. So do support. We are back. We had last weekend off because it was Memorial Day in the United States. For myself, I live in Toronto. We don't celebrate that. We had a long weekend the weekend before, but we're back. And before, the people are already okay. Before we invite the ladies on, Jen Myers is here. Fitness IQ Cam says good evening, and all she says, "I have my popcorn." I was chatting with her earlier on today. She says, "Oh, she's looking forward to today's show." What's today's show? It's called Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. And you know what? It's time to bring them on because we want to give the popcorn to get digested. So what is going on, ladies? How we doing?
Good.
It's been a week.
No, it was a day, especially one day. But before we get to the week, how are things in both of your worlds? How was Memorial Day weekend?
Peaceful and restful. But like I said, the pollen has gotten to me today. So contacts, glasses, all that stuff.
Great. And we had a chat before we went live. How's your dear daughter doing?
Very good. She started grad school last week for summer classes, and she does a full-time internship in the fall. So a year from now, she will have her master's and her license as a dietitian.
Amazing. And she's going into the world of dietary. Mm-hmm. And I spoke to Aisha before we went live. Maybe we can get her to come on the show and talk about good dietary habits for African Americans and African Canadians. So I'm already doing my story pitch to her through you. So
she already has experience doing nutritional programs with children, because that was her last internship when she was at UConn, a nutritional sciences major. So so she did there are a lot of games and different things and teaching little kids how to make healthy snacks. Nice.
Regina Ferris says, happy June 1st, happy Pride Month. Yes, it is. Can't wait for the show to roll. I think there are a few, the regulars are waiting for this show for one main reason, but also JJ Mars, hey, Dr. Veeb, how are things in Colorado weather-wise? What else has been going on? Well, we'll get to it in just a moment. But so Lala, how is the construction of the home coming along?
It's coming. It's coming. I'm tired.
Are you tired or you're tired?
I'm so tired.
That was for you, Fitness IQ Cam, by the way. I know she liked that. But so how long of a project do we see this being? Oh gosh, that's the wrong word. Okay,
but it's gonna be a while.
Okay, so let me ask you, Lala, what's gonna happen? The house project get done, or you go on your next tour? What's gonna come first?
Oh, the next tour is coming. We're
Oh.
definitely doing the tour. We're definitely going to probably be doing the tour at the end of the summer. And we have some really good ideas on where we're going to be. And so you guys just have to stand by to see if I'm coming to a city near you.
Well, there you go. And actually, one of the things I enjoyed, I think it may have been almost a week ago, I sent you both DM via Instagram, Prince playing the bass line of, was it Batman? Or,
Yes. Yeah.
I thought that was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
For
That was
Yeah.
ridiculous. I got to share this with Aisha and Lala. I said, I just said,
it was.
wow,
I think it was Party Man.
Party Man. I think it was
Party
Party
Man.
Man. I just going, so if no one thinks he was a talented musician, come to me and I'll send you that little.
It was him recording it for the album. Yeah,
But the bass was ridiculous.
yeah.
Yeah, but that new release that they just sent out, I did this past week. I can't think of the title right now. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful song, and it's a beautiful love song. And I'm so conflicted about them releasing some of this stuff, but then you get gems like this where you just literally want to sit down and cry. You miss him so much, and it's such beautiful music.
But he told Arsenio Hall that somebody was going to release it eventually.
Yeah.
So he knew it was coming. So I don't think that he had any I think that if he had real problems with it, they would have opened the vault and nothing would have been there.
It's true.
He would buried everything under in a cement tomb or something.
Yeah.
It just came to my mind. I wonder who has more unreleased music, Michael Jackson or Prince?
Prince.
I bet it's Prince.
Michael Jackson. And I can say this because my daughter is a huge, huge Michael Jackson fan. And actually, we had this conversation before. Michael Jackson, he didn't record as much as Prince. He recorded over longer periods of time, but it'd be like a set number of songs till he got it perfect. And he would record different parts of each song, not just vocals, but like beatboxing and things like that to make the song more full. But he probably had some written things that he didn't record, but he doesn't have complete songs like that. And if that was the case, the estate would not have put out some fake songs when they did the Escape album.
Wow.
I got another point. So one of the trends I'm seeing over the last years is a number of prominent artists selling their catalogs.
They see the writing on the wall.
They've got
Writing
to.
on the wall.
So
They don't make any money on streaming. They don't make any money on streaming. So even if somebody gets a billion hits, they're not making any money because all you have to do is pay for the streaming service and the music comes up with the streaming service, as opposed to like it was maybe 10 years ago, you would go and you'd have to buy the single. And even then it was like $1 for a single. And, you think that they're spending like over $300,000 to record that one song. And look how much it takes to even make that money back. So artists are selling their catalogs because they're not making any money from them, especially if they don't own the publishing. If they're just performing it, like you're not going to see a person like Mariah Carey sell her catalog because she wrote everything that's in her catalog. So she still will get money from that when people use it for commercials or covers or whatever. But
Same
people,
thing.
exactly. But you take someone like say if she were still alive and Aretha Franklin, the songs that she didn't write, I could see her selling them because, honestly, what is she going to get? She's not going to get royalties from streaming.
Yeah, no, streaming is it. I'm going to tell you, hubby is really smart with this. And, this is his whole world.
Can I guess before you go any further, hubby's really smart because he married up. Keep on going.
I love it. I'll have to tell him that. I bet you say that he'd agree. But he actually really sat down and really did the math on everything. There is no way that streaming can possibly pay people that what they deserve because they would be bankrupt.
Right.
They pay all of the fees to the CEOs and stuff, and then every day they're cutting down more and more on what they're paying artists, and giving new rules out, and artists aren't making anything at all. With the
Absolutely.
streams that he gets, he usually literally gets pennies. Sometimes maybe we can't even get a freaking Starbucks.
Right.
You know, it's
And
interesting.
you know what, though, things too that they are having to do it has a residual effect. Like, for example, I am not a fan of this woman, but J-Lo had to cancel her tour
Yeah.
this summer. And they're saying she said it's because if I didn't have to, it was family. No, it's because her record sales for her latest album in 5 years are in the toilet, and she wasn't selling concert tickets. So you have artists like that. You have George Clinton says George Clinton has to tour in his late 70s or his early 80s.
Yes.
And it's because of the residuals and the royalties that he's not getting.
That's right.
So, you know, artists more now more than ever have to tour, as opposed to like in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they could make a record and sit back and let the record make them money.
Well, let me tell you guys this. There is a major software that just came out in the audio industry that has got it so down pat now, guys. You're not even going to need the musicians anymore. They can take whatever they need to out of old songs, extract every last little piece of it, the vocals, the bass line, the drum lines. They could take that. How are you going to be able to prove that it's yours? You can't. So they can extract that all and create a whole new song for you. They're not going to need this anymore. It's pretty scary stuff.
Wow.
And this is a direct result of them taking music out of public schools, because people want to make music, but they don't know how, because they can't read it. They can't play instruments. But at least back in our day, they made you learn how to play the recorder.
Something.
True.
I mean, I played the flute and the drums, but at least by first grade, you were taking recorder lessons. They don't even let these kids have music class these days.
Very true. Just to catch up here, JJ Mar says it's sunny and warm in Colorado.
Yes.
Regina Ferris says Prince. JJ Mars also says Napster over 20 years ago was the writing on the wall for the music industry.
Yeah, because basically all these streaming services did was basically take license over what Napster had done and figured out their own configurations and algorithms to to tailor it. And so yeah, Napster was right. That's why Prince fought so hard against Napster.
Yes.
You remember that back in the late 90s.
So,
and by the way, that song was called Silver Tongue. Regina, Silver Tongue.
All right. Regina says, I remember Keith Richards saying in 2000, the Stones had to tour to make money. The music biz has never been straight. 100%. 100% has never been straight. Do you ever see the day that the Prince Trust will sell his catalog?
Not as long as Lonnie got it.
No, I see it. Yes. Londell. Well, no, but see, remember, Londell also sold his share in Michael Jackson's catalog in the state. So I do see that. Yes. Remember. Yes. So I do see that happening.
Wow.
Londell had his fingers in Michael Jackson's estate, in Whitney Houston's estate, and now Prince's estate. So I see it? Yeah. Because Londell and John Branca made that deal with Sony to sell the catalog.
Wow. All right. We also want to shout out Evelyn N. Williams, thumbs up on Facebook, and also Soraya Machado Powell.
Them is my peeps. Hi, peeps.
Giving the thumbs up via Facebook. So we had our appetizer. We don't know how long this is going to be, but this is probably the main course of today's conversation. 45 convicted on all charges in hush money trial. Ladies,
well, let's not call it the hush money trial, because really, remember, that's not really what it is. It was an election interference.
Thank you. Then you see how they spin this.
Yeah, it was an election interference.
Election interference.
Yeah, because paying someone hush money isn't illegal. The hush money trial thing was what the media gave it and what Trump ran with, so it didn't sound illegal, but it really was an election interference trial. And that the election interference part is what made it a felony, because those 34 counts were misdemeanors. unless they were connected to another crime, which was a felony, which made them felonies. And the crime was hiding something from the American people to affect the outcome of the 2016 election. It might be 6 years, but here we are finally. Look, the Mueller report didn't work. His ties to Russia didn't work. But it was a porn star that took him down for stealing the election in 2016.
Exactly. But everybody is going to continue to spin this in their own direction. The fact that so many people have come out and supported this man just disgusts me to no end. I literally get sick to my stomach when I see people saying why they still support him. Let's say something very clearly. Had this been
Barack
Obama, y'all would have strung him up. I'm not even making an analogy right now. I'm telling the truth. Y'all would have done everything you could have possibly done to this man. But no, you want to get behind someone who's been proven to be a crook and a liar and a sexist and a homophobe and a cheater, and you want to call him some Christian. And I'm so sick of that bullshit. Call it like you see it. He's crooked. He's a con man. How dare you still be on the ticket? This man needs to be under the jail. He is a convicted felon now. He should have the same rights as other convicted felons. None.
And unfortunately, our Constitution does not say that if you're convicted of a felony that you cannot be on the ballot. But that becomes the responsibility of the party to say, you know what, we can't stand behind a convicted felon. However, they don't seem to have a problem with it. Let's be clear. After they said the seventh guilty, I was like, oh, this is going to be a clean sweep, because I was sure that at one point, maybe the checks that Trump didn't sign, he might get a not guilty on or a hung, but no. And this tells you how he thinks, right? They chose two of the jurors that they chose because one watched Fox News and the other one read True Social. Okay. And that behind the scenes, Trump was calling them my jurors. So the best they were hoping for was a hung jury. And it had to shock the hell out of him, sitting there hearing guilty after guilty after guilty after guilty. And then when they went to survey the jurors to find out that his jurors voted guilty, that, let me tell you, you know how you could tell how badly this affected him? Because of that disjointed press conference he did the next day, where nothing made sense. It wasn't even a press conference. It was a speech.
It was a rant.
And he sat there and he went on and on about, it's like, okay, talking about they're letting people from the Congo in and out of prisons. What does that have to do with the fact that you lost? That has nothing. What you're trying to compare those criminals? You're trying to say the crimes they did were worse? Dude, you lost. And you know what? You have been criming your whole life, filing bankruptcy, stiffing people, not paying people, which those are crimes. It just finally caught up to you. And I bet you, instead of saying the thing that this man should be saying, he's ranting on and on and on. But what he should have been saying was, I really should not have run for president because it has upended my whole life.
Yeah,
he didn't think that American politics was this intrusive. And he didn't, and let's be clear, he also didn't expect to win. He just expected
he never expected to win.
The fact that he won, he's like, oh, I won, I'll take it. But then when people started telling him what he couldn't do, because, he doesn't have the wherewithal to see that being president of a private company is different than being president of a country, that there are rules and laws that you have to abide by. In his private company, he sets the rules and laws. So he thought that he could come into the country as president and run the country the way that he runs his business. And that's why those people voted for him. They're like, well, Trump says he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Did y'all forget we got a constitution that spells out the duties of the president and that there are checks and balances on that
Never
office?
read it, Aisha. They don't even know what it says.
But they're always so good. Let me tell you something. I have been reading the Constitution amendment by amendment and then diving into the amendments, because I've read it before, the whole document, but now I'm like really trying to get into the knowledge of it. And I'm gonna tell you, these people don't even know. Because if you ask them, what are the first 5 words? They say all kinds of stuff. I heard somebody say the first 5 words of the national anthem.
Yeah.
But the part they're missing is that it's a government for the people, by the people, not for one man and by one man.
Which they've turned this into. And of course, what does he do? The same shit, always the same script. Corruption. Oh, it's so corrupt. Yeah, you are.
It was rigged. Yeah, it was like, I could say that whole speech myself because I knew what he was going to say. It's corrupt. It was rigged. We are conflicted judge. The Joe Biden did this, and what's so stupid is that it tells you, and his people are really dumb because they're quoting things that he says without checking it. It's like, remember, we have you all claim to be states' rights people, right? But you don't even know that states have their own judicial systems. That the federal government can't. Tim Scott talking about, oh, I hope that the Supreme Court overturns it. What do you mean the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court has no jurisdiction over this. The highest it can go is to the New York State Supreme Court.
And now what him, Mike, whatever his name is, who was the Speaker of the House. I get so sick of these people. I forget their names. I get so angry. He had the same thing. Same thing came out, was like, they need to step in. That just goes to show you do not know anything about American politics. You are calling on stuff that doesn't exist.
But you know what though was more stark about what Mike Johnson said? It wasn't even that part. It was the part where he said, and I know several of the justices personally.
Yes.
Oh, really, sir?
Yes.
Really?
Keep talking. Because they tell on themselves every single day. And DeSantis,
you know this personally.
Oh yeah. And don't forget about what DeSantis came out and actually said. Now, y'all know convicted villains cannot vote, right? Y'all know that, right? Okay. So what does the Satan come out and say? He has legal voting rights. Well, okay, if he has legal voting rights, so does all the other convicted felons, because he doesn't get special treatment. He's a convicted felon.
But here's the thing. There's a loophole in Florida, right? So the convicted felons, if they've served time and they haven't paid restitution, they can't vote.
Right.
If they're convicted but haven't served time yet, they can vote.
Yes.
So they're banking on Trump not going to prison before the election. And I'm sorry, but I think that if that judge wants to serve on the side of justice, that he would treat him like anyone else. Give him at least bare minimum 30 days and make him report immediately the day that you decide on the sentencing.
Oh, to jail. Period.
Yeah, the thing is that the most he can get, and he lied because he's dumb and he doesn't know anything, but he's like, oh, I could go for 180 years. No, actually all the sentences for this particular crime are concurrent. So the most you could get is 4 years, asshole. Excuse me.
Well, because he doesn't. The whole thing is they are stupid. You're believing stuff that's not true. You're believing garbage. You don't even take the time to educate yourself. You're banking on a crook, and then you want to burn America down over some ass who is allowing you to do it. You want to get behind this because what does it boil down to? Racism.
Yeah, and he was pissed. I don't understand. It's like he's got a glitch in his head where he's just really mad at Michael Cohen for not being loyal to him. But dude, it wasn't even Michael Cohen's testimony that got you the 34 convictions, because the jury asked for what they needed. They needed those instructions read to them again, and they wanted David Pecker's testimony read to them again. Therefore, it was David Pecker's testimony that they relied on, and you didn't do yourself any favors by putting your proxy, what was that guy's name? Colin, whatever his name was, the guy that the only person that the defense called. Here's the part. He's like, oh, they wouldn't let me call it. No, your defense decided only to call that one witness who got belligerent and got his hand slapped by the judge.
Right.
And after that, they decided they couldn't call anybody else. But here's the thing. You wanted to testify, then you should have gotten your behind up out the chair and sat there, took an oath, and testified. You didn't testify.
It would have been instant perjury.
And here's the thing: if you did nothing wrong and everything that you do is so perfect, even if they can go back to previous things that you've done in your lifetime, if you've done nothing wrong, you shouldn't have anything to worry about with those questions. Because only someone who has something to hide is going to be like, oh, I don't want them digging into my background.
Okay, I just want to interrupt because their comments. So let's catch up on a few things. Regina says, Dr. Vibe, happy to be here. We're happy to have you, Regina. Also, Jen Meyer says, doing fine, Dr. Vibe. Hope you're well also. I am. JJ Marr says, that's the GOP, so-called party of law and order, and only blue lives matter. Also, Regina says, remember, 63% of Nikki Haley supporters said they would not vote for 45 if he lost his trial. That is 9.54% of the Republicans. We'll see, because as we said, I think on the last time we were live, Nikki Haley has given her support to 45.
But they're not supporting her in doing that. What I have seen is that some of them are considering Biden and some of them are considering staying home. Others are looking at Robert Kennedy.
Okay. Oh God, all of those choices are stupid.
Oh, so Regina says Robert Costello was the final male in 45's call.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. The jury saw that until the judge had them leave. And look, like people have been saying, jurors very much like the judges that oversee their cases, right? They feel a deference toward the judge. And so seeing that disrespect, and let's be very clear, all those jurors have seen Trump at least once because he was president of this country. So they know how bombastic he is. And they know that this guy was sitting in for him. They've seen his surrogates. They've seen people hold his water for him. Yeah. So they knew that if he had testified, it was going to be like that. And so, it was very clear that he was there to do what Trump was too much of a coward to do. And then it comes to find out he didn't have any information because he said he was, and this is a part, you put someone on who basically perjured himself.
Yeah.
He said he was Michael Cohen's attorney, but the prosecution said, here's the retainer slip. It's not signed by either you or him.
That's right.
We're not his attorney.
I have a question for both of you. Why didn't 45 testify?
Oh, he instant perjury. He knows perjury. That.
But he said in his press he wanted to testify.
But he said that in the E. Jean Carroll. He said that in the E. Jean Carroll cases. He's saying that in all these cases. He doesn't want. No, he wants. Remember the one time that he did testify in the E. Jean Carroll case, the second one that just went through, right? Was it the E. Jean Carroll case? No, it wasn't E. Jean Carroll. It was the state case on fraud. And remember, he did get on the stand and he tried to give a soliloquy. And the judge was like, no. You're here to answer questions. You're not here to just talk freely.
Oh, I think what the judge actually said is this is not a campaign rally. This is a trial.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're to answer
that's
questions.
All he knows how to do.
And that's what
nobody can control his mouth. So what he wants to do is he wants to tell you that I want to do this, right? No, you know you don't. Because for one,
No.
you're going to perjure yourself, and two, you don't know how to control yourself, and no one can control you. So any attorney that would even allow him to get on that stand knows it's over.
But here's the thing. I don't even think that he would allow himself to get on the stand. That last time he tried to, and he had a really weak attorney in Alina Haba, who's too busy trying to be wife number 4, that she was like, oh yes, go ahead. But this attorney that he has now, I feel really bad for him, because remember, he used to work in that office that prosecuted Trump. Okay,
Yes.
so he is a prosecutor. You would think that he would know better, but he's not a defense attorney. He has no practice in doing that, and he also fell for the whole Trump mystique.
Yep.
Because when he got on Fox and he said, "Well, we made decisions together," I'm sorry, that man knows nothing about the law. He barely knows how to stay out of bankruptcy. Okay. And you're going to let him make decisions when in a criminal case?
Okay, he's got a bankruptcy. Oh my gosh! Lala mentioned something earlier, and I want to bring it up here. I was going to bring up the story here that 45 supporters call for riots and violent retribution after the violence.
Yeah,
And guess
you're
what
disgusting. You're all disgusting. You are not patriots. You are not Americans that you keep claiming that you are. You know, stand down is what you need to do, because you are standing for violence and you're ruining our country. You want to claim that we're ruining the country? Look at what you're doing. Calling for riots and violence. This is nothing but showing your true racism coming out right now, huh? No. How dare you call yourself patriots? You're nothing. You're nothing to America.
Well, I'm sorry, but look, if the same thing happened with Joe Biden, and we come to find out all these facts about him that we found out about Trump, as far as I'm concerned, that's his problem. That has nothing to do with me and mine.
Nope.
I'm not rioting or being violent or retribution for anybody, especially somebody that doesn't pay my bills or basically takes my taxes to put in the pockets of his rich friends.
Which, by the way, he don't pay taxes, remember?
And then what kills me is that they filtered more money. Well, he's claiming it's 53 million. At first, the first number was 35 million, which makes me probably doubtful that's more like maybe 10 or 12 million that they made in donations, but small donations. And guess what? You're paying for his court cases. You're paying for you're paying for his lawyers. And guess what? You can't even afford a lawyer of your own if you need one. Keep your $5. Your $5 can at least buy a carton of eggs, barely, but at least do that. Feed your family, because giving him the $5, we all know where it's going. This man has 3 other cases pending.
Yeah, I'm really.
That's a lot of legal fees. They said he spent $100 million so far this year in legal fees. So your little $5 is not going to help him. This man talks about how rich he is and he's a billionaire. Why don't you let him start using some of his own money?
And so he is now saying, the orange demon is now saying that he has raised 53 million after his conviction.
All right.
53 million. Where do you think this money's going to?
Well,
it's to pay his lawyer so he can keep his own 53 million in his pocket.
Well, I also want to add on this too, the impact potentially on the upcoming election. So this is an article today, this afternoon. We're broadcasting live on June 1st from Forbes magazine. First polls after 45 conviction, warning signs for Republican. Top line, we say nearly half the independents said they want 45 to drop his 2024 campaign after a New York jury found him guilty on all 34 counts, falsifying business records in his criminal hush money case. There's that term again. Yeah. According to a new poll released Saturday following another poll Friday that showed other warning signs for the 45. A morning consult Morning consult conducted on Friday, which was yesterday, found 54% of registered voters either, quote, strongly, unquote, or, quote, somewhat, unquote, approve of the guilty verdict. And though 49% said 45 should be sentenced to probation, over 44% who said he should be given a prison sentence. 68% of the respondents said he should be fined. Roughly 49% of independents in the polls say they believe 45 should drop out of the presidential race just one day after he was convicted. The survey also found 15% of likely Republican voters believe 45 should drop his campaign, while 8% of self-proclaimed 45 supporters in the survey said the same. A Reuters Ipsos poll conducted just hours after 45's guilty verdict was read also found 56% of Republican voters said the conviction does not change their vote, while 35% said they were more inclined to vote for 45 after the verdict. Still, 10% of Republicans in the Reuters Ipsos poll, which surveyed over 2,500 U.S. adults, said they were less likely to vote for 45 in the wake of the conviction, while a quarter of independent voters said the same. 18% of independents said they were more likely to vote for 45 after the election. Any thoughts?
Yeah, those are the people that we're going to need. Okay. We're never, ever, ever, ever going to change Trump supporters. You're not going to change MAGA. It is the people that are in these polls now, although I don't always feel confident about polls, that we are talking to now. These are the ones that are going to make the difference. The independent voters, those who are sick of this shit, and those who are ready to get back on track of making America run functionally again. These are the people that we are reaching out to. And if you add up all of those, and if that is true, then we do have an election not going in his favor.
Yeah. And I'll say this too about when they were talking about the part of the article talking about when they mentioned the piece about the sentencing, and I got to thinking, remember that Black woman who voted when she didn't realize that she couldn't vote, got a 5-year prison sentence. This and that's why I hate calling a hush money trial. This was an election interference. He held something back from voters. He paid to hide something from voters so that he wouldn't lose. And I think that he should get the maximum at this point. Do I think, and Regina is asking us this question, what do you think Judge Juan Merchan will do on July 11th for a sentence? I think that he's going to have no choice but to give him minimal, at least, prison time, because what did Trump do yesterday? He violates the gag order.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Michael Cohen. You got convicted and you violated the gag order. And I promise you, this man can't control himself. So we've got a whole month and 11 days for him to keep screwing up. And that is going to be.
And he will do it.
Right. And he will do it. He is going to go to prison when he could probably get a fine or house arrest or whatever because of his own actions. But he will not take responsibility for it. This man has yet to learn how to be an adult.
On anything.
Responsibility.
He's never taken responsibility on anything. Never, ever, ever.
I think
things are always rigged against him, or somebody's out to get him, or what?
So Regina has a question: is the gag order still valid after the jury is dismissed?
Yes, and actually, that's the funny thing is that he also said it yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday in his speech when he said, well, I can't say his name because there's still the gag order, but my former lawyer, or they call him a fixer. Dude, you did the gag order means you can't talk about him, period.
At
all.
You
can't even describe him.
You can't even blink his way right now. Okay.
Right.
Exactly.
So the gag order is still in effect.
There's an area that hasn't been talked about yet that I'm concerned about: the safety of the judge and the jury.
Well, that's why the judge recommended to the jury that they not speak out after, to just keep because remember the E. Jean Carroll jurors, we don't know anything about them, and we don't know anything about the jurors from the state's case, because they have been kept quiet. But they're trying so hard to dox these jurors and find out who they are. And it's like, so what happens? What happens after you attack them? Then what? You make their lives miserable for what? What do you get out of it? It doesn't change it's not going to change the verdict. It's not going to change the verdict.
I'm Dr. Vibe. I'm of the mind right now. I'm with you. I don't care how much they try to protect them. We already know how people can be outed so very quickly and easily. There's so many people who know how to do this on the down low. I am worried about them, but this is an attack on all of us. Well, we cannot do our duty.
If 45 supporters could almost take over Washington, this is
this is easy.
This is an easy thing.
But they've also proven themselves not to be the brightest criminals either, because remember, a lot of them got caught for videotaping themselves on January 6th.
But this is true, but I'm talking about this is now private citizens, so easier target.
Yeah. I mean, they've been trying with the other ones, with the other jurors. I think this one's going to be a little bit different because it was criminal charges. So they are definitely going to try and go after them. But I'm hoping one of the good things, though, is that Donald Trump couldn't really describe the jurors to them. Because remember, the way that they said the jury was seated was that even the witnesses could barely see them.
Yeah, but I know 45, the way he works, there's information about those jurors in someone's hands other than the people involved. I don't wish this, but something tells me, don't know when it's going to happen. Something's going to happen either to that judge or one of those jurors. I don't like to speak bad news, but like I said, if 45 supporters can attack and try to take over the government of the United States, this is easy for them. This is a layup for them.
Yeah, but remember, they also had someone try to attack Judge Chutkan too, and that person got caught. They're also not, like I said, they're dumb criminals too in that respect. But Judge Merchan has had security since he got the case. Because remember, this is his second Trump case.
Well, there's difference. He's convicted this time.
Yeah. There's
a difference, which will just raise the stakes even higher.
Actually, the person that they need to be going after is his lawyer. His lawyer really screwed that up.
So I have a question before we go to break. Is America under civil war?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a cold civil war, but you can expect it to heat up as the summer progresses.
And it's June 1st, so there you go. Well, before we go to break, I was going to wait till after break. Dr. Tachi is in the house. What is up, Dr. Tachi? And look at this. Regina wants Dr. Tachi. Will you weigh in? Dr. Tachi, you have been called out. So tell me if you want to come in. I know most of the time you don't have your camera on, but if you're available, please message and I can send you the link. And you can, because the masses are asking for Dr. Tachi. They want you to weigh in. You've been called out in a good way, Dr. Tachi. So what we're going to do is we're going to break and see, and I'll be watching the comment section, Dr. Tachi. If you want to come on in, I'll just send you the link and we'll make it happen. We'll be back in 2 minutes and we may continue to talk about this or we will flip to another subject. That is all up to Dr. Tachi. So Dr. Tachi, the countdown is on. 2 minutes. See ya.
And that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harriet Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm I'm one of the Harriet Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. No, really, the rappers get all the attention. Seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized Black folks.
Like the twerkers and the just people that, don't always represent the best of us, the diversity, like people like Dr. Vibe, like everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr.
Really
Vibe he's trying to do good work for Black people.
Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a
great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him. The men who are also doing the same thing. I see Dr. Vibe in here. He's a great brother. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. He's a smart brother in Canada, and we need to follow smart people. So follow Dr. Vibe if you see him in the chat. And Dr. Vibe, say your name in the chat so people can see you. I want you to click on his name, and I want you to go follow him, please, because I want these men and women that are doing the right things to get the support they deserve. Hey, Dr. Vibe, how you doing, brother? Again, like I always do, I got to say everybody should go follow Dr. Vibe. He's got a great show. Dr. Vibe, I know Dr. Vibe's got a kingdom because I see your channel. I see you pouring into that every day. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. Look him up, Dr. Vibe, V-I-B-E. He's a great friend of me and my wife, and I love this guy.
Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. You know, a lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. Helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
Okay, we are back. We haven't heard back from Dr. Tachi yet. So there we go.
She asked what she's weighing in on.
She what?
She asked what she weighing in on it.
Oh, well, okay. I didn't see the comments, but let's do this. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Law at Patreon, where they do their 10 and 10 commentaries. So please subscribe. There's the link. Also, the Primetime Saturday store. The link is there. Also, wherever you're watching on platforms, it's on most of the platforms that we're broadcasting live on. That link is there. Join the Discord group. Email me at dr.vibe@vibeshow.com. And actually, the regulars that are on here, I have a special favor to ask you, but I want you to email me. I have a favor I need to ask you. It's on the QT, but I have a favor to ask you. So if you're up to it, please email me. I have a special favor to ask you. Also, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And as always, advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I am part of. Email me, dr.vibe@vibeshow.com. Now I'll get back to the comments. Let's see. Hey, Regina Ferris, what am I weighing on? I think Dr. Tachi, Regina wants you to weigh on 45 and his conviction. Oh, look at this. John Ross, it's my birthday. I'm 35. I'm a good person. Okay, you're 30. Happy birthday. Okay. And Regina says, all of the topics on tonight's itinerary. Okay. So, Dr. Tachi, do you think you have a little bit of a fan? You think? What do you want me to love? She wants you to weigh on everything. So, Dr. Tachi, you have your option of doing in the comments, or I can bring you on and your camera doesn't have to be on. So it's up to you. So let's move to our next conversation topic. Minnesota GOP's endorsed Senate candidate has faced court actions over his unpaid child support.
I thought it was for family.
So I brought this up because he's got unpaid child support for several children. He's another Herschel Walker, this NBA player. Why do they keep getting? It's like they don't know that Black people do other things aside from play sports. Okay, so this is yet again another athlete turned Republican running for the Senate, and he is just. I don't think they learned their lesson from Herschel Walker. Remember the whole thing with Herschel Walker and his child support too?
Yep.
He lost. Why are y'all doing this again? This tells me that this party, first of all, they have no good ideas. Two, it's very clear they have no Black people in leadership because someone would have told them, we got to stop. If you're going to get a Black person, let's get a real Black person.
Right.
Third, leave the athletes alone. And let's be clear, they're endorsing you because you're an NBA player and they think that you're going to pull Black male voters in the GOP's direction. That is why. Stop allowing yourselves to be used this way. It's crazy. And then
They have this false notion. They have this false notion that they really are their equals, and when that's never the case. They are always the pawn.
But the funny thing is that this guy was on the total opposite side of the GOP during 2020, during the whole he's a George Floyd protester. Okay?
Yep.
He was an organizer there in Minnesota on this. And now all of a sudden he's flipped. And if somebody can flip like that to a party, the party that did not want to pass the George Floyd bill when he was a George Floyd protester, it tells you he can't be trusted and that he can easily be bought.
Yep.
Well, let me just read the story. So the headline here: Minnesota's GOP endorsed Senate candidate has faced court actions over unpaid child support. So Royce White, a George Floyd protest leader and former college basketball star turned right-wing Senate candidate in Minnesota, was ordered to catch up after he fell behind on court-mandated child support payments at least half a dozen times from 2020 to 2023. Court filings show in the case filings in two cases show White, a father of four, was twice found in contempt of court over the findings. One of them in Minnesota, a Minnesota county, where he remains, quote, in constructive contempt, unquote, facing the ongoing threat of a 180-day jail sentence should he again fail to keep up with his payments. The next hearing of the case was set on October 21st, 2 weeks before the election. Why would a party pick someone like this to be a candidate?
You mean the party of family values?
Yeah, that's what I was agreeing.
Really?
The party of family values, endorsing someone who can't pay to support his family? Not even can't, won't. Come on now.
Won't. That's a distinction with this. Not that he can't, he won't.
They can't even endorse, black men that do the right thing. They keep choosing black men who are degenerates. Him, Herschel Walker, the guy in Mark Robinson in North Carolina, Tim Scott, Byron Donald. The list goes on.
They never learn their lesson. They never get the play card. Like, you've seen this happen over and over and over in the GOP, but still yet you want to tap dance for them. Nah, you're still a pawn.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's the truth. They're just
all right.
Just give it away.
A little bit of update.
Give their souls away free.
Dr. Tachi says I'll come on off camera. So Dr. Tachi, I've DM'd you the link. Also, she says the same reason they will endorse a convicted felon for president. So so exactly. Dr. Tachi, we are patiently waiting you to come on. When you come on, we'll revert back to the lead story of the conviction of 45, and you can certainly give your comments on that. But these candidates, I'm going, and I like to say, just non-judgmental. Where do you pick these these candidates?
Well, I mean, the party of law and order is a party of criminals. We see that now. They've always been. You can go as far back as 50 years ago at Nixon. What was Nixon's phrase? Like Donald Trump, his whole thing is, I'm totally innocent. This is corrupt and rigged. Nixon, I'm not a crook. I'm not a crook.
That's right.
Hit dogs holler. Okay.
Yep.
Ask Regina Ferris. Ask and you shall receive. Dr. Tachi, how you doing?
Oh, I'm fantastic. I don't even know if I do have the right microphone selected.
Yes, you do. So
how are you all?
How are you?
How are you?
Do you want the truth or do you want do you want niceties? I'm tired. I'm tired. That's the truth.
Yes.
Well,
I think we all are.
So thank you for jumping on, and we want to get your take on 45 being convicted.
Well,
this should I leave the stage? Bye.
No, you stay here. We are taught as good Christians never to delight in the misfortunes of others. but did I delight?
Should I say now, Reverend Dr. Tachi?
No, because remember, I delighted.
Okay, all right.
You were
Not
fist
the
bumping in the
bell.
air too, because I know I
Church.
was. I was fist bumping in the air.
You know what the whole thing is though? We're partying and fist bumping, but what does this really mean? I think this is where I was like, well, finally,
Yes.
but
Yes.
what does this really mean? Because the point is he can still run. There
Yeah.
you cannot be a police officer. I think you cannot be a public servant. There are certain other things you can't do, but there is nothing that says you cannot run. Now, this is by design because large majorities of these former presidents were criminals of some slaveholders, etc. So, we had a lot of criminality that happened. So it was probably by design that was not put in there. But you don't have to have a clean record in order to run for president. So it's interesting, though, if you don't have a clean record as a civilian, you can't vote.
Right.
So all of this is not a clean record, but if you're a convicted felon, you can't vote.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very good point.
The thing is that I think we need the Constitution. I know there are people who are originalists, but the Constitution was meant to be a living document. Otherwise, they would not have allowed for amendments to be passed as part of what the Constitution says. And I think the part about the office of the presidency needs to be amended because there are only two things that you have to be in order to run. One is 35 years old. The other is a natural born citizen.
Exactly.
Not robbing or criming should also be something.
Right.
But they all see, but that's the very thing. And this is how we know that they are fully aware of the transgressions that have happened in the past and what they continue to do, because you will not do things to repeal those laws or to repeal those things because there are so many that are guilty of it. And it's like an admission of, yes, we are doing the wrong thing. So if you just say nothing, it doesn't exist.
Right.
It's really mind-blowing when you look at it. But to answer the question of what I think about that, again, I'm waiting to see what this all means. I'm waiting for people on the side of right. And I'm not just necessarily talking about one particular party. I'm talking about people in general on the side of right to do the right thing and to stop being nice and to stop turning the other cheek. And this is what has put us in this predicament in the first place. We are too blasted nice for no reason. We want to. The other side, and I'll say it, the GOP is not nice. They are not mincing their words. They are intent on destroying the union. And the biggest thing is, even though that's not what the entire Republican Party wants, there are some people that are reasonable and moderate, but the fact is that they will stand with the party, regardless if they're right or wrong. So you're part of the problem too. I don't care how moderate or reasonable you seem to be. You're irrational if you stand on the side of wrong, which is what's happening. So, we have to be that counter movement to that needs to start happening. So we look at the Project 2025. I hear no talk of a counter 2020. People are just like, this is dangerous. We've got okay. So what are we going to do? I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but it's going back to the point of you've got a very dangerous individual who has a chance at, again, becoming dictator. President. So,
excuse me. He already said that's what he's going to be. You didn't do nothing but speak the truth.
Well, thank you. Yeah. So I was happy at the conviction. This is exactly what you deserve. The Central Park exonerated were rejoicing as well.
Yes. Because it was in the same courtroom that they were tried in.
Now,
To your point, Dr. Tachi, though, you know what? I have to say this. you're so right about how they swallow their own, because remember Larry Hogan, who's running for the Senate in Maryland, former governor of Maryland, told people he wanted them to be calm and not get out of place with the verdict. And what does Trump's communications person do? He quote tweets it and says, your campaign is over. Your candidacy is over. Just because he called for calm.
Wow.
Yes.
I remember hearing that story. By the way, Dr. Tachi, Fitness IQ Can goes says the truth is here. So that the public speaks. Here's an interesting question. April says, just imagine if this was the Georgia case with a guilty verdict.
Georgia would burn, Atlanta would burn to the ground again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Seriously.
They burned it during the Civil War. It'll burn again. It would burn again.
Civil War. America under Civil War. Dr. Tachi, I don't know if you wanted to add on to say anything about this Senate endorsed candidate that's faced court actions under child support. I know you put some comments in the comment section. Anything you want to add to that?
This is not surprising. It doesn't surprise me. It is the true hallmark of this. None of this is surprising. So the thing, and Aisha, you said something really important about how they will endorse individuals who are among the worst of us, who are the worst example. But that's exactly what they want, to show that we are unfit for these types of things. It's the same thing as when you'll watch a news broadcast and they will get the most bonneted, ill-talking,
came out their house, rolled out of bed, and just got on the mic.
Exactly, the most meme-worthy.
Mind you, they passed several regular average Black people, average dressed, whatever, to find the one person that fits a stereotype.
Exactly. And in that case, and you know this, Aisha, it's a ratings game.
Yes.
Because news and news cycles are supported by advertising. The whole thing is, if it bleeds, it leads. And so because of that, you want the most sensational, not everybody, but many want the most sensational, because that is what's going to get ratings, and ratings secure advertising dollars for your newscast.
And if you can make your white audience feel good in the process, that's a bonus. You make them feel, you scare them to death about these people.
Yes.
Make them feel safe and secure by kind of highlighting the things that are going on in their lives that are so wonderful. Because they do those happy stories at the end, and you very rarely see a person of color.
How much more safety and security do you need? I'm very confused, because the people who should feel unsafe is us.
Us, yeah.
So I'm
the crime is more likely to happen. You're more likely to be a victim of a violent crime where you live. In America, our housing is still so segregated. So you talk about, you can't have it both ways and say Black on white crime and then talk about Black on Black crime. Let's talk about this white on white crime, because that was the percentages of that is higher.
Yeah, it really is.
You know what this trial was? That was white on white crime. Stormy Daniels told the truth about her affair with Donald Trump. White on white crime.
I'm really, really curious. I just want to be the fly on the wall with Melania. I want to be on the fly wall. I want to hear what she's saying behind closed doors. Because
me not come into the courtroom. No, Donald.
That's right.
She is going to get Reiki every day, because I know her neck muscles are tight. She is livid.
No, she's not. You know what? Because I heard Melania has a boyfriend in Florida anyway. But aside the point, Melania is violating. You know why? He's violating all kinds of prenuptials things.
He sure is.
True. That's true.
She's getting paid.
Ching ching.
All right. Nice segue. Speaking of Florida,
Ugh.
Dr. Tachi State, Florida's top education official says public school closures a trade-off for school choice.
Now, I just want to mention that I've said this before on this show and our last show that
Yes.
this was Florida's plan. This was Ron DeSantis's plan. This whole school choice thing was their way of closing public schools. But the school choice, remember, the school choice, what are the choices? Because private school is not going to be a choice for people, working class people who don't have the money to send their kids to private school. So what, and remember, I explained this before when I said that they have a compulsory attendance law. So if they close all these public schools and turn them all private in a way to where people have to pay some kind of tuition and they can't afford it, the kids whose parents can't afford to send them to public school, to school, then can go to jail under the compulsory attendance laws or be arrested for adding to the delinquency of a minor. And what people are those most likely to be? Black and brown.
Well, and the interesting thing is brown people that are helping to make these laws.
Yeah.
If you know about the makeup of Florida,
Yes.
there is a special, South Florida, where there is a huge contingency of brown people.
Yeah.
But brown people that, and this is not everybody, and I don't want to put it out there like it's everybody, but there are many that are self-hating brown people and will do anything to align themselves with the dominant culture, right? Or the oppressor. And so as such, that usually means agreeing with and coming up with legislation that is counter to their own interests.
Yes.
So something like this affects you too, Hialeah, and I'm saying it, and you all know what I'm talking about. This is you too, Doral. This affects all of you as well. So when you put these things in place, it affects that. But there's another thing, and I wasn't quite sure, maybe you all know, whether or not this is in addition to closing and then having private schools, are they also talking about public charter schools? Because I know
think they are talking about some charter schools, but what will those charter schools look like? Because the other part of it too, I don't see a way that they're going to be able to do the charter schools with the same funds that they have for the public schools unless they start charging additional, like a partial tuition payment of some sort. The thing about this for me is basically it's like no one learned their lesson from 1954 to 1971 as we were integrating schools. What was the first thing that they did once they integrated schools? They closed the segregated ones. They closed the Black ones instead of improving them and making them bringing them up to par, making sure they had everything that they needed, because some of those Black schools were closer to people where some Black people lived versus some of the schools that were white schools were closer to where some Black people lived. Your school should be in your school really should be in your neighborhood. Remember, we used to have these things such as community schools and neighborhood schools, but one of the things that they're not thinking about are the long-term outcomes for these public school closures. So, for example, when they closed the segregated schools in Spartanburg, South Carolina, where my mother was from, my mother had to go get a passport some years back, and her birth certificate has her name spelled differently than she spells it. And that happened because when she went to kindergarten, the teacher started spelling her name differently. And so my mother just stuck with it that way. And they told my mother, to prove this, we need a record from your elementary school. Well, they had no idea where to look for that information. The school's been closed for decades, and they had nowhere to look for it. They didn't even keep those records any place where they were easy to find. I mean, we had to go through hell and high water to get this passport. So when they talk about closing public schools, they don't think about the effect that it has long term on people. You're taking schools out of neighborhoods if they're closing these public schools, these neighborhood schools, and they start, even if they build charter schools, they're going to have added costs when it comes to transportation, because they're going to have to provide buses for kids who would ordinarily walk to school.
If I may add also, that is an excellent point. Those are the hidden costs that we don't even think about. The whole records thing and needing to go back and find these things from a public school, which those things should be not public record, but they should be able to. We should be able to access them. On the other side of this, there's the argument, which I can see, that especially here, you've had all this time to do something well or right with the public schools. And I'm speaking specifically of the school boards. I can't blame teachers for this, because they're not paid enough for the rubbish that they deal with. And also the resources are not there often. So I'm not blaming teachers at all. But who I am blaming are the people that have been elected or appointed to these school boards to deal with this. And this is just opinion and conjecture on my part, but I see them. They actually hear on the Miami school, any school board is public hearing basically, so you can go. And so they actually broadcast the Miami-Dade school board on the radio here. So sometimes I will listen if I'm driving somewhere just to see what's going on. Crazy, I know. But it seems sometimes like there are people that are interested in doing the right thing, but then here there are also people that are just interested in saying, "Oh, I'm on the school board," and that comes from and this is the whole psychological thing. But look at the type of place that Florida and state is. Yes, Miami and Fort Lauderdale are quote major cities, but they still in a way operate like small towns. This is not a state where there's a whole lot going on in terms of things like engineering and job. You've got tourism, real estate, law, banking. There's not a lot that you can do here. It's not like a place like New York or etc. What can people do? I can become the principal of a school. I can run for office. I can run for the school board, and I can be a big fish that way. And so there are a lot of people that are only interested in being big fish, and that's where the children get lost, because you want to be a big fish and be elected and say, "Oh, I'm on the school board. I do this. I do that. I'm getting a third PhD." Well, good for you, boo-boo. Meanwhile, these children are not getting the benefit of a school system.
Exactly.
Right. And
this is where the Moms of Liberty coming in. Moms of Liberty.
And that was my point. If these school boards spent less time banning books and more time raising money to fund the public schools, you wouldn't need to close them.
Absolutely. And then, the thing is, where we see that, this is why there are parents that are advocates for school choice and for public charter schools, because they feel that they're not getting what they need to out of the system. I mean, and if anybody should really be upset, I don't have ne'er a child in the public school system here, but I still pay taxes for it. And I'm glad to do that if I see what you're doing with the money. And right now I don't.
All right. Fitness IQ says, ugh, not birth certificate being different. Yeah. Regina says, correct. There are many, quote, titleists, unquote, elected to school boards who do nada for the students.
Nope.
And also, Regina's message to Dr. Tachi, 100% fangirl.
Oh, she's awesome. She is so awesome.
But yeah, the whole state of education, just Dr. Tachi, periodically I have to ask you, what's going on in the state that you live in?
You know what? You act like I really pay attention and care. I don't give two darns. And that's a terrible thing to say. It really is. I really should pay more attention, but I've just learned that it's easier to be incognito here. So that's what I do. But again, this is a very interesting social landscape, political landscape, because of the ethnic makeup here, because we have a lot of immigrants, and often when you come here, you are looking, and many of the immigrants that are coming here, it's different. Many of the immigrants that are coming here, we've got some people that are very educated that come here as immigrants, obviously, but then you've got a lot of people who are coming because of for political asylum reasons. Look at what's happening in Haiti now, etc. So you're pulling all sorts of people, which makes for an interesting landscape. But if your thing is, I just fled my country, like I just fled Venezuela or whatever, my thing is to make sure my family is straight. I'm not thinking about the public school system. I'm not thinking about those types of things. And again, this is a very big generalization, but there are priorities that tend not to be those types of policy issues when you are coming here as an immigrant initially. It takes a while for you to settle in and then to start to understand, and maybe then you can start to do that. And then what happens is you just side with whoever they say you should side with, if that makes sense. So that's what's there's that. And then number two, this is a state with it's not a young state. There are young people here, there are families and things here, but what was Florida known for? Retirement. And for the most part it still is. And so really it's only still recently that they're starting to institute a lot of things beyond like come here and retire and then tourism. Hence why there's not a whole lot of industry and things here that would draw people here. When I moved here, and I moved here because I got a job at the university here. That was the sole reason. There were a lot of young people like my age that moved here as well. They're all gone.
There's a lot to that too as well, because what used to be thought of as Florida was affordable, but it is no longer affordable.
No.
The house prices have gone up. Not only that, the taxes and the insurance, people can no longer afford. You can pay off your house, but you're never going to get rid of the taxes and the insurance. And the insurance is such in a bad way that it's almost damn near you can't get any insurance at all on the house. And you have all that natural disaster down there. So it's become unaffordable, and it's no longer the dream that people thought that it would be.
It's problematic because, I mean, even before, it's crazy how high the insurance costs are here. And I understand the natural disaster thing, but part of the thing is now you have fewer insurance companies that are here. Many have fled the state because of that. So you're dealing with the state insurance, right?
Which
citizens.
Is crazy and covers almost nothing.
Exactly.
You can't have a house without insurance.
I tell people to come to Connecticut, but you have to brave the winters and the high taxes. But guess what? If you're going to pay high taxes in Florida, you might as well pay them someplace where the insurance in your house won't be that high.
Well, and I guess it's a trade-off, because the thing is here, there's no, what is it, tax?
Sales tax?
No, there's sales tax.
Income
tax. No state income tax. So we don't have state income tax, but we have sky high insurance if you have a home. And then, some of the housing costs are not cheap anymore. If I had to sell where I lived, I would get some money, but where can I go? So that's the paradox for people here. And so what we found also is that there are people that are leaving South Florida and going a little farther north where your money stretches a little bit farther, or they're leaving for states like South Carolina, Georgia, Texas.
South Carolina is getting expensive too. It's like, I lived there. When I lived there and I had a house, the mortgage on the house, and this is in a subdivision, brand new house, 4-bedroom with a frog over the garage, and everything. And the mortgage was like $900, right? But people now are paying almost twice that in just the mortgages. But because of the subdivisions. They've had like a blast of subdivisions there, and because they're building those, they're charging more. I think it was much different when people could just go and buy a regular house. Like my grandmother went back to South Carolina. She bought a beautiful house, very inexpensive, in the late 80s, and it was just like, a house on a street, go buy it. But now you have to buy these ones in the subdivisions. The HOA fees are killing people if the mortgages aren't, and then the interest on these mortgages, because they suffered really bad in the 2008
In the bubble.
mortgage crisis, and that bubble burst because all these people bought all these houses in these new subdivisions and then couldn't afford them when the payments ballooned, and so you just see a whole bunch of empty houses. And that happened to like my neighbors on both sides of me. They both got their houses foreclosed on because of the bubble.
Wow.
And it's coming again, guys. I keep saying that it's not, but you have all these arms that are now getting ready to adjust, and we are going to start seeing more and more issues with the housing industry. Now we're talking my wheelhouse. I'm seeing all the stuff in the background that's going on that the general public is not seeing. I'm seeing more of the foreclosures coming through. The REO numbers are up, and nothing is being helped. And now with all the new changes with NAR losing that lawsuit, which they should have never lost in the first place, first-time home buyers sometimes can't now be able to afford to pay their buyer's agent. So we have a big bubble of something coming. I don't know how. I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was at the last crash, but something that's been brewing. It's been brewing for too long. See, real estate is a cycle. So we've gone past a couple of cycles that haven't happened. So when it does happen again, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
Just to add on to that, Lala, was the industry hoping for a recession that never happened?
Yeah, because everybody kept saying it was coming and it never did. We kept things happen, and then of course COVID came along and bailouts happened, and all those things happened. But you cannot continue to give and not expect that ball to come crashing down at some point. You've got to have that yin to that yang in order to have any kind of balance whatsoever. So yes, a lot of people were saying it, but it never happened because everybody kept bailing people out.
Well, not only that though. Well, I can speak from the Canadian side here. Fitness IQ says that's true, Lala, and also says so scary on the future. But the North American consumer spended so much during the last while. A recession never happened, but the only thing is the debt crisis just gets worse.
Yeah.
And then the cost of inflation.
Yes, and then
inflation has gone up.
And then Fitness IQ says plan wisely and try to invest.
Yeah,
absolutely, 100%. Well, let's get to our last conversation point, which Ms. Lala brought up. 45 trolls leave racist comments under Michelle Obama's tribute to her late mother. Lala?
This is the most disgusting, foul thing that you could possibly do to someone. You have lost your base. You have lost your mother. We all have a mother. Regardless of how you feel about your mother, you may not like your mother, fine, but you don't come to other people who are in grief and cause more problems. This shows you the level of degradity and audacity that they have and what they truly think of us. And don't forget, all of this came around because we ended up getting a Black president in the first place. So this is backlash from them having to suffer through a Black president. And the fact that Michelle has lost her mother, one of the centers of her family, of the whole family. We all know how it is. We always say that there is somebody in your family that is the glue to your family. She is the glue to that family and has left such a living legacy. And for the trolls to come out and Oh God, I have such bad words to say, and I'm trying to keep them to myself so that this can stay PG. This just makes me so sick to my stomach. If you go after someone on this level, you, to me, are the worst of the worst humans. You have no respect for yourself, but yet you'd probably be the first one that'd be crying and upset if someone had come and done this to you. I won't even say some of the things that were put on her post, but they were beyond disgusting and disrespectful.
Well, you know what though, Lala? Here's the thing. These things were racist. They were transphobic.
Yeah.
They were evil. And they were malintent. These same people leaving these comments like this under here are all upset and in their feelings about Trump getting 46 counts and being like, oh, it's so unfair. It's so unfair. Come on now.
We all know that it goes back to that.
Yes,
just my bleeding
pieces of crap. That's what they
are.
That's
I guess in my nature, I do my best. I do my very, very best. Oh, I do my best to try to say, okay, there is good in humans. Sometimes we may not agree. Maybe our little foundation is off sometimes. But when it comes down to the basics like this is the things that make me want to scream and shout and do ask people, what the hell are you doing in your homes to allow these things to continue to happen? Because we're screaming until we're blue in the face, but we're not doing anything. Where is the action behind the things that we should be doing? We're talking about it, but where's the damn action? So these people feel like they are running the country because they are running the country.
You're better than I am, though, because I believe that there are people who are inherently evil. I don't think everybody has good in them. I think some people do. I think, but I think there are enough people that do not have any redeemable qualities or any good in them. And look, the more that they center Trump in their lives, the more they become like him, and they think that it's cool. And here's the thing. If you have something to say about Michelle Obama, don't do it under the tribute for her mother. Go to True Social with that crap.
Yeah.
But they don't want to do that because they want pushback. They want fights. They want somebody to respond. And I have to say that Michelle Obama supporters and just decent people in general have been good not to feed the farm animals. When they're asking for snacks, and they're asking for a fight, they've been very good at just ignoring them.
Yeah, but just the fact that you get one mother. I'm sorry, you just get. I was blessed to have two. All right, so I don't. This is just disgusting, and I just wanted to make it a point to say that she was such a very important person in not just for their family, but for our country, because she showed how basically our Black families are. We have these glues in our mothers and our grandmothers and our nanas and our grannas and everybody else. And to disrespect that shows your true character in the first place. We know you're vile. But now you're really showing your draws.
Yeah. And remember, Michelle wasn't going to go. Michelle was like, I'm not going to Washington unless my mama comes to help raise these girls. She was that important of a part of the family. She didn't get paid for it, but she moved from her home in Chicago
and didn't
ask for a thing and helped take care of those girls. Remember, they were elementary school kids.
Yep.
So, first of all, may she rest well. Yes. She was a wonderful example of the matriarch of a family. And I'm so glad that America got to see that embodied in the White House. That's so important. Mm-hmm. I think we are asking for human behavior from subhumans. Subhumans cannot exhibit human or even human-like or humanoid behavior. They're incapable of it.
Yeah.
and we don't have to sit here and understand why or postulate as to what could be the cause of their unhappiness, that you take the little time you have to make comments under what did that change? What did that do? Nothing, because I'm sure Michelle Obama has learned by now, don't read these comments because they will be nothing but headache for you. So you've accomplished nothing. And Dr. Vibe knows that one of my favorite things is to call useless people wastes of skin. This is exactly what they are: wastes of skin and subhuman. There are no redeeming qualities, as you all said, to them. And so really they're non-factors. Next.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the part too, is that they write these things with the hope that she'll see it and get her feelings hurt. But look, after the whole campaign in 2008, Michelle Obama knew not even 2008, his first campaign in 2004 for the Senate, and he'd been in the state house and state Senate before then. She knew not to read this stuff.
Exactly.
And not only that, I doubt that she personally wrote the tribute. She's got people who write these things and post them for her. She's busy with her family mourning her mom. She's not sitting on Twitter or X or whatever they want to call it, scrolling through people's messages and posts.
All
She's
right.
planning a funeral.
Okay. Cinnamon Canella, you're gonna have to watch replay if you're saying good afternoon right now, because we're filing it down. But Regina says they are loathsome and vile.
Yep.
Fitness IQ Cam says Dr. Tachi subhuman, but she says but still SMD.
Yeah.
And then saying LOL waste of skin, love it. So definitely there's no room for that, not in my world anyways. That's just really very
May I ask a question?
Sure.
And not to introduce a new conversation piece.
You
You
can.
have to love
You
Dr.
can.
Vibe.
You can.
Did you all hear about this whole thing? This is some D9 or Divine 9 news, but have you heard this whole thing about certain members of the Divine 9 denouncing their memberships in these fraternities and sororities?
And they outed all the secrets.
Yes.
It started with this one young lady who was a Delta, and she, after she crossed and everything, denounced them after saying that some of the rituals were hedonistic and went against her religious beliefs. So then what she does is she creates these posts and tells all the secrets. And I happened to find out because it was someone that I follow on Twitter. It was the daughter of her friend, the daughter of her line sister.
Yeah, it's quite common now. There's a whole movement saying that it's, demonistic.
Well, here's my thing. You are free to leave and you don't have to announce.
Thank you.
When I see these things, and obviously I have a particular feeling about this because I am D9, I'm a Delta. And we are all like, what are you talking about? And it's interesting because there have been a lot of posts going around, and this is not a new phenomenon. Like I've heard about this for years, but social media shines more light on these things now.
Yes.
And so we hear about it more. And so my thing is like, number one, go quietly. Nobody asked you. We didn't ask you to come. And so you may go quietly. Number two, I think that people have to realize that these D9 fraternities and sororities are not only nonprofit organizations, but they're corporations. Okay.
Yeah.
You can be sued for that proprietary. And I think people don't think that. So when you take things like a ritual or whatever, and then, or rule books, and then you put it on the internet, that's a violation.
Yeah.
In terms of service.
But here's the thing, though, people, it's like, here's what I don't understand. Why go that route when you can just do it like tons of other people do and just not be active anymore?
Exactly.
Like my daughter's father is a Kappa. He's not active anymore.
Just don't be active if you feel that it disagree, which is
And
interesting.
here's the thing: at what point did you realize it went against your principles and belief? I mean, you did all that stuff to the point that you crossed.
Right.
And then
Right.
after you crossed, I don't understand. If the rituals bothered you, they should have bothered you all along, not until after you crossed and got your letters.
Well, and no, 100%. I agree. I think this is the thing, and I made this comment on somebody's post. They, a lot of our organizations want us to refrain from really commenting about that, but I'm like, I think it's important for the public discourse for us to make not comment on behalf of the organization. I certainly do not speak for Delta Sigma Theta, but I'm speaking for myself.
Yes.
I feel like, I have to make that disclaimer. I feel like many of these people were already on a search for self. This is why they thought that they were somehow broken or on a search to find themselves. And they thought that becoming a member of a fraternity or sorority was going to make them whole, but it did not. And so they fall into another movement, an extreme religion, an extreme church that tells them that this type of thing is wrong. And so without researching, you go ahead and say, yes, you're right. It's the same thing. You fall into another thing. So this is a personal battle. Until you find yourself, you are going to continuously find issues and problems with any organization or any movement. This really has nothing. It has little to do with D9. They
show up as empty vessels and they expect to have all the stuff poured into them and make them feel whole, like you said.
Exactly.
And it just doesn't. They realize that they're still an empty vessel, and that there's oftentimes a hole in the bottom because you pour stuff into them and it drips right out. And so they're waiting for the next thing to come and it drips out, and then the next thing to come in and fill them up, and they'll find in the end that nothing is going to satisfy that within them.
Nothing.
All right. Or as Fitness IQ says, or be anonymous. And she agrees with everything that's being said. So as we start to wind it down, Dr. Tachi, Indie Soup Media updates. What's going on?
Oh yeah. So we are in what do we say, in the encore phase right now, because many of our shows have ended season 1. Season 2 starts at the end of June. So June 24th, we will start season 2 with a new slew of shows. So I'm excited about that. We're almost at 13,000 subscriptions on YouTube, which is great. Yeah. With it blows me away, but I'm really proud of what's been happening. Also, thank you to you, Dr. Vibe, for you sending some. Yeah, well, for being involved and for sending interns our way, because this has really significantly lightened my load. So today I'm a little bit tired, as to usually I'm very tired.
All right. Well, that is good to hear, and we'll continue to support whatever way we can. And as it's up on the screen, there it is, indiesoupmedia.tv, or just go to Indie Soup Media on YouTube and you'll catch all the programming. So what I'll also do while we're doing that, I'll also put it in the comment section of everywhere where people are watching this live on the replay. So we're going to do that. And as we wind it down, it's about that time to find out where in the world that people can get a hold of Lala Key.
I made it simple. I just gave you a simple email a link that you could go to and find all of my stuff, living the Lala life. And it's bit.ly/Laura Key info. You can find me there.
I will make sure I get that done next time and put it on the screen. Aisha K?
Find me on Instagram at AK Staggers, or on X/Twitter at Aisha Staggers.
Yeah, and it's crazy because a lot of people watch this live
On my Twitter.
conversation on your Twitter platform. So thank you for allowing us to broadcast there. Also, Dr. Tachi, where can you get a hold of you?
Yes, you can find me at I don't know, I'm everywhere, but Instagram is a good place at Dr._Tachi. And of course, we'd appreciate you hopping over to Indie Soup Media, YouTube, or the site and watching.
Yeah, and this program, an edited version, is shown. Is it on Fridays? I believe?
Yeah, Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern
Friday,
time.
yes.
Mhm.
What usually 1 hour version, but the May 18th show, there's a part 1 and part 2 for Indie Soup Media. So it's a 2-part version. So that was so rich. And for people who haven't seen that conversation, I highly suggest it because Aisha was quite open about a subject. I'm not going to say what it was. That's my teaser. That's my teaser. So people can watch it either on, Best Face probably right now is on YouTube on the Dr. Vibe show, but on Indie Soup Media also. So as always, I want to say thanks, ladies, for all that you do. And we will catch you soon. So there we go. There we go. And there we go. All right. Let's close it out here as always. Well, how are we going to close it out? Yeah, this is what we're going to do. All right. You can watch replays of this epic conversation on Primetime. Well, it is Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. You can watch replays on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. Also, the Dr. Vibe Show website, the drvibeshow.com. And as I mentioned, you can also watch replays on Indie Soup Media on Fridays. All right. So that's that. So a few last things. Let's do the homework. Primetime Saturday, Aisha and Lala, Patreon. There's the link. Primetime Saturday store. There's the link. Join the Discord group. There's the email address, which just happens to be mine, dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. So not only on Indie Soup Media, but also the Dr. Vibe Show. Follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to advertise your business, product, or service on the platforms that I host. Email me dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. We have a comment here. Jen Meyer says, great show. Thanks for helping it be a great show. Fitness IQ Cam, another great one. And also, too, for the regulars, please, I have a favor to ask of you. If you could email me, I'd really appreciate it. Something came up my alleged mind during the conversation that I'm working on, and I need your help. So let's finish it off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourselves grace. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith and walk good.